Who'd have thought getting two of your best players back would lead to a lift as the Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. Marc-Andre Fleury with a solid outing in the net. And Matt Boldy atones a little for his recent run of penalties. We got a lot to break down here on today's postcast, so let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wild Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers to improve to 26-4 on the season. And big story before the game, big talker before the game, as Matt Zuccarello and Jonas Brodin get activated off of long-term injured reserve. I didn't think that they were that close, but hey, glad to have them back in the mix because the defense really needed the lift that Jonas Brodin was able to provide. He had an assist in this game. He was a +2, 3 shots on goal in 25 minutes on the ice. And Matt Zuccarello on the other end, he had an assist, played 14 minutes, obviously trying to work him back in a little more gradually, but Kirill Kaprizov, 2 goals, Matt Boldy, a goal, Marco Rossi, a goal. Just a good bit of the formula for the Minnesota Wild in this one, and some great performances defensively. Marc-Andre Fleury, 20 out of 21, or now they're saying 21 out of 22 in the saves department. And it was a great bounce back for the Wild after a pretty deflating loss to the Edmonton Oilers. And you think about where we were sitting after that Edmonton game. Jake Middleton gone. Panic starting to set in. And you're looking at being without 4 of probably your 7 or 8 most important players on the roster. Now you get a couple of them back. So a good return to normalcy for the Minnesota Wild. Some things to iron out in as we continue to go forward, but the main thing is that it just really never felt like this game was within the tipping point of going back the other way to the Flyers. The Wilds controlled their business, and that's all you can expect from this team as we go forward. Let's get to your comments as we get moving here on a Saturday afternoon. Would have gone a little earlier, but was trying to do some Christmas shopping, get that all done so I don't have to do that next week. And I sat down with a nice Mankato brewery, the organ grinder, and it exploded. So it got all over my desk, and so I had to quickly clean that up before we took the air. But that's all taken care of. We'll start with Amanda. What a well-put-together game. Flower looked really confident and strong in net. He had some dandy saves in this game here today. And I did like getting a chance to listen to the radio side of it quite a bit. I did like what Joe O'Donnell said about, there aren't a ton of shot attempts that were between the two teams. I mean, 23 for the Wild, 22 for the Flyers. Not a ton of shots on goal, but certainly pretty good opportunities for both teams. So you needed to have a goalie dialed in, and Fleury certainly did that here today. The expected goals against 1.29 for the Flyers. So Marc-Andre Fleury is 0.3 goals saved above expected. Gave up that goal late. Unfortunately, broke the shutout. But I like that these goals that are being given up are occurring, for the most part, are occurring later in the game, as opposed to right off the bat to where you are you're behind all of a sudden pretty early and having to play catch up. So Fleury did a great job here today, 21 out of 22. And on the other side, Samuel Urson, he had an expected goals against of 1.33. So that should tell you the story right there. Just not a ton of offense for either team in this game. And the Wild got 4 goals on Ursan, and so he was negative 2.67 goals saved above expected, which is just, it's gross. I just want to look at where the shots came from. So shots on goal. See, now Money Puck says 21. Yeah, that would track. 21 out of 22. I want to see where so there were 28 low danger, 5 medium danger, and 1 high danger shot attempt. And it was a low danger goal against by the Flyers. So no high danger, really not a ton of high danger chances given up, which is great work by the old defense here in this one today. Let's keep it rolling here. PK looked much better. Still needs to work on the faceoff wins and getting strong clears, but overall strong all along. I'm going to keep saying that I think pressure is the key. I think if you just sit back and expect teams to make mistakes, that's just asking for trouble. So the fact that the Wild got a little pressure on the as far as the PK goes is a step in the right direction. Need to see more of it. But hey, like we've talked about, there's 50 plus games left in the season. And there, as much as we've seen the struggles, how great would it be if there's a course correction and the last bit of the season, the special teams are just dynamite? That'd be great. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it feels like there's going to be a course correction at some point with what we've seen. Let's go to Dougie. Love it for Flower. Better to go out still playing well than to stink your way out of the league. Yeah, Fleury now, I think, just the 1 loss and 1 overtime loss. So with today's game, he's 6-1-1. He's got a goals against average that's going to be right around probably 2.6 and a save percentage over 90. You can't beat that. I know he hasn't played a ton this year, a testament to how good Philip Gustafsson has been. But think about this. If Marc-Andre Fleury, ESPN has him projected to play in 23 games this year with 20 starts based off of how long he's started so far this year. If he ended up going 14-3-3, which is the projection, I would take that. I think that would be a great number for a backup goaltender. And that means then that Philip Gustafsson is in the other 62, which he's certainly been good enough to earn that. But if Fleury is putting up those types of numbers as a backup, that's why this goaltending tandem has been as good as it has. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Amanda's saying here. Fleury's also looked much more mentally strong than he has been with us as well. Isn't getting frustrated with himself, then overplays and misses more key saves. I think there's something to this being his last year, to where he really wants to go out playing strong, as opposed to, like Dougie said, as opposed to kind of stinking it up. And he's been great. I mean, has he given up? I think he maybe had 1 game in which he's given up more than, he's had 1 game this year where he's given up more than 3 goals. And that was against the Seattle Kraken. Other than that, it's been 3 goals or less. And you can't ask for more. Even in the game against the Kings, he gave up just 2 goals. Los Angeles scored a couple of empty netters to push that one away, but he has done just fine in net for the Wild here this year. Finally made it to my first game in person on Tuesday in Utah. Of course, Nadinov gets his first of the season. Tough night against the Oilers. Looked good today, though. That's the key, is the bounce back. Getting up off the map. And I'm going to tell you, getting Zuccarello and Brodin back, huge lift. You could just tell that the team missed having them both on the ice and in the room. And so this was a perfect time for this to happen, with Jake Middleton just going on long-term injured reserve. Getting those 2 back to get some of that presence back was huge. And I think the team played with a definite lift in this one here tonight. Face-offs for the Minnesota Wild. I think it was mentioned in here. Trav's got it. Wild, the Flyers won 34 of the 50, 60, 34 of the 60. The Wild won 26. So not a great night in the face-off circle, but that's something that the Wild have dealt with a lot over the last several years, and it just never seems to faze them. It only seems like it's a major issue when you go up against a team that has loaded center depth. Then it gets to be a problem. But also, that's going to be something to watch with Joel Eriksson Ek out of the lineup, is how many, like, who's going to step in and handle a brunt of the face-offs. Ryan Hartman was 11 of 23, so he was at 47%. Freddie Gaudreau was 5 of 13. Marco Rossi was 7 of 11, and he's on your top line. So that's what we like to see. By the way, that combo today, pretty nice. Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Rossi. Welcome back. The big one was Murat Huznadinov was 1 of 8. That's where the Flyers tipped the scales. And Morgan Frost was 9 of 11. That's where the scales tipped in the face-off department. That was where they made their money. Hoptics joining us. 20 wins in the first 30. That is a 2-to-1 win-to-loss ratio. Absolutely ridiculous to be maintaining this pace 30 games into the season. Every game we get further in, it looks less and less like a fluke, less and less like a mirage. And the games that have been lost here recently, by the way, Garnett Hathaway with 9 hits today. Yikes. Point I was making anyway is you get some of these players back and you go right back to where you were. Like they just keep cruising along, and style points aren't going to be a thing every night. But if you can just keep playing this lockdown defense and can get the goaltending that the Wild have gotten for about 80% of the season, 85% of the season, you're going to be just fine. Pressure on the PK, cut down on their time in the offensive zone. Yeah, this is the key. The pressure. Don't let them just get set up and do their thing, and the results will come. Dylan joining us today. Glad this game looked totally different than against the Oilers. Not sure if it's because of getting key players back, but glad to see a strong effort today after Edmonton. I think that's exactly what it was. Just like I said, just the lift of getting players back. Zach joining us today. Great win. Let's hope we can keep this rolling into tomorrow. Great to see Zucchi and Brodin still got it in their first game back. Brodin was great. We talked about it. He came back and just slotted right in with 25 minutes. Just good to go. Like, didn't miss a beat. Captain of the comment section is here. Denny, how's it going? Another nice win for the Minnesota Wild here today. Zucchi's got balls of steel. Any news on when Ek is supposed to be skating again? Not sure. I haven't heard anything, but I did find it interesting that the Four Nations face-off, the team Sweden is pretty adamant that he's going to be back and able to perform, able to play, but that's in February. So hopefully he's back well before then. But let's get to Denny's thoughts on this game. Flower playing better than expected. He's really looking to go out on top, and it's been a really good goalie combo for the Minnesota Wild so far this year. Like, let's just check. I just want to see where they're at from a statistical standpoint. It was the top goaltending tandem in the entirety of the NHL for a long time. And I know the game against the Oilers is going to skew the numbers quite a bit. The Minnesota Wilds, before today's game, are third in the NHL in save percentage at .918 and are tied for first with Winnipeg, the LA Kings, Toronto, and Minnesota with a 2.55 goals against per game. Pretty darn good. And they continue, but Denny's right on. Tomorrow's the game that matters. Not that this one didn't because of what happened against the Oilers, but that's the prize to get is the game against Vegas. And speaking of, the Edmonton Oilers have a 2-0 lead on the Vegas Golden Knights just into the second period in that game. Adin Hill is in net for the Golden Knights today, which would likely mean, who even are their other goalies? That we're probably going to see Ilya Samsonov in tomorrow's game. And his numbers are considerably worse than Adin Hill's. So that's nice. The Wild won the block shots battle. For me, that's a more important stat than faceoff percentage. I agree, because the Wild have it's been something that they have dealt with for years, is not winning the faceoff battle. Like, I think pretty much since I started hosting the show, they routinely lose the faceoff battle. The block numbers are the one that's the key determinant, and that will be interesting to see as we go forward. Like, it seems like if the Wild get to like 20 blocks, they're pretty likely to win. And I don't know what the science is behind that. I think what it means is just that the team is more engaged and more active in taking care of business. The Wild did lead in the blocks department tonight. I think it was 16. I've got it right here. 16 blocks, I think, for the Wild. That doesn't help us at all. 16 blocks for the Wild to 11 for the Philadelphia Flyers. So win the block battle, and things are going to work out pretty good. Let's get the Flower another cup ring. I'd be in favor of that. I would like to see that here. I'm going to go to this because it seems like there are a couple of questions in regards to the whole waiver process. Can you talk a little bit about what being picked up on waivers would mean within the cap space and how this would look longer term? Could be an episode if needed. I'll probably circle back to it for an episode, but just the Cliff Notes version right now. So Travis Dermott is on a 1-year deal, $775K. So the Wilds, but when he was put on waivers by Edmonton, the Wilds pick up and absorb the remainder of that contract. So he will be with the team for the rest of the season. Cameron Crowdy was sent down with Brodin back. Obviously, that means once Middleton comes back, there's going to be one too many on the roster. And I would think at that point, the Wild will do the same thing that Edmonton did, is that when Middleton's ready to come back, Dermott will be put on waivers. I don't know if anybody else would claim him because he's barely played this season, and I don't know, but I think once Middleton's ready to return, I think Dermott will just get placed on waivers. If he clears, then he just goes down to Iowa and will spend the rest of the season there. After that, that's probably going to be it, because he is 27, and I talked about like the 82 game seasonal averages for him are not bad, but he's not gonna crack the lineup, I don't think, unless, as MBCKT says, unless there are more injuries, which is, there are always going to be injuries So I would imagine we'll see him for probably at least until Middleton comes back. And if nobody else is hurt at that point, then probably waivers. But if not, then he's going to be with the team the rest of the year. Will he play is the key point. That's the key question. As we've talked about most of the season, with this defense putting up the numbers that they have been, unless somebody needs a day, you're really not pulling anybody out of that D mix the rest of the season. So it'll bear monitoring for the rest of the year, but at this point, they needed a body, and he ended up being the one they get. Marcus seems to have stepped up his game. Quite the pass to Kirill on the empty netter. I think the biggest thing for Foligno to this point this year is that he has not had any. Oh my Lord, what a box score for Foligno today. He hasn't been hurt this year. He's been playing fully healthy, and I think has not had to step into a more prominent offensive role as much as he did last year before he got hurt because of how good Kirill has been. So he is able to just play more of a natural role for him. And Foligno today, he had an assist, 3 shots on goal, 2 penalties, 7 penalty minutes. He had 4 hits, 16 minutes, 51 seconds of time on ice, and he was 0 for 1 in the faceoff circle. When Foligno's buzzing around, throwing his body around, and helping set the tone that way, that's when he's at his best. He does have some sneaky offensive skill, but it is much better utilized in a supporting role than a lead role. It's like if you're putting a movie together. There are tons of very talented actors. Some of them are more supporting roles as opposed to like true lead actors. And Marcus Foligno is just one of those guys. He's never going to be like a top end player, but we're seeing this year him being fully healthy has led to him being able to play his style without limitation and without trying to overcompensate. And part of it, I think, was that he wanted to get back at whatever the name of, I don't remember what the name of the particular Flyers, Joel Farabee, I think it was. No, it wasn't Farabee. I don't remember who it was. Hathaway, probably, since he had the 2 penalties. He wanted to get back at Hathaway tonight, too, for what happened in the earlier matchup between these two teams. So I think that certainly was part of it, but it's been a good season for Foligno so far. Anita, my main concern is losing so many where we're on the penalty kill. Leaves us open for quick goals. Yeah, face-off wise, the ones that you really need to have are the ones on the penalty kill. Those are the face-offs you need. In even strength, you might get the puck back in the neutral zone on a turnover. And it's just easier to kind of recover from a lost face-off in even strength than it is on the power play. We got some updates from Bob here in regards to Jakub Lauko, who played 3 minutes and left. No update on him. Not sure if it was a new injury or an aggravation of the old injury he's been out for. We'll see, because Lauko is an important part of that bottom six too, and if he's out of the lineup, that is a problem. Although, let's give some credit to Ben Jones here tonight, who played 15 minutes, had a couple of hits, had a shot on goal, and was a +1. And that, I know they haven't scored yet, but some of those guys that are playing the fourth line right now have looked better than what the Wild were getting early on in the season. And if you can get a productive fourth line, that's all you can ask for. Like, if you can get production from the third and fourth lines to just spell the first and second periodically, That's the winning mix right there. Foligno is a beast without taking away from the team staying in control. This is the key. Great point, Bob. This is the key to be able to, just stay within yourself. Don't go too crazy. Don't reach that boiling point and go over. The Wild haven't done that a ton this year, which is why they've had as good of a season as they have. All right, Jared, let's talk about this because I fully agree. We're now up to 5 penalties in the last 3 games for Matt Boldy. And most of them are stick penalties. Most of them are the reach type varieties, holds and hooks. And it's got to stop. Like you're putting the team in a disadvantage by continuing to go to the box because not only is Matt Boldy not out there, but then the penalty kill has to be. Boldy did atone for some of that by scoring today, but he's got to, and I think it's, I think Bob's right here. Trying too hard, not using his hockey IQ, and I think a lot of that is because the goals have dried up for Boldy a little bit over the last 2-3 weeks. If he starts scoring again on a regular clip, I think the penalties are going to go down because then he's going to play more at ease, more natural, and not be trying to force so much as he is right now. So that's the hope. John Hines, I'm sure, has talked to him about it. And that's hopefully going to be something that he will take to heart here before too long. I think it's just a matter of just trying to do too much. Just simplify, and the penalties will go down. Can we take a moment for Merrill's off the boards pass to Kaprizov and off the goalie? Yeah, that Kaprizov goal off of Ursan was disgusting. Just straight up domed him, and who else tries to do that? Who else? Because Kaprizov was trying to go off of the side of the face so that he could deflect it in. That's just Kirill. That's just what he does. It's crazy that he is able to make those things look so effortless and so easy, whereas 95% of the league can't do that. It's just gross. And I say that in the most respectful way possible. Respectful way. It's just gross. It's just gross talent, gross hand-eye coordination to be able to do those things. I think back to the Ville Husso goal off the back of his mask and in. It kind of depresses me that I'll never be able to do anything like that ever. And he looks to do that most nights. Just makes me sad. But thankfully he's on our team and we get to see him do it to other teams as opposed to him doing it to us. What is Huznadinov's faceoff percentage? For the season, Murat Huznadinov is at 47.8%. He has won 100 faceoffs and lost 109. And he is 4th on the team in faceoff wins. And total faceoffs, I think he's also 4th. How about this, though? Joel Eriksson Ek was at 49.9% before he got hurt. Marco Rossi's at 49.1%. Freddie Gaudreau at 50.2%. And Murat Huznadinov at 47.8%. The Wild as a team are at 48.9%, which I feel like is their high water mark for the last few seasons. So maybe we're starting to see the face-off numbers finally improve as opposed to just being pedestrian, average. So, yeah, I see that particular item in the chat that I have said we will never talk about in this show again. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that there. Thought Boldy's penalty today was pretty cheap. It's one of those things. Thought Murat was supposed to be really good at faceoffs. You know, I have no doubt that he'll get there. It just takes you a while, and faceoffs are so random. It depends on who you're going against. It depends on the official on the ice that is handling the faceoff. Like, there are so many variable events that can lead to you losing a faceoff, as opposed to winning one. Like, it is purely random. And I amount it to a coin flip, basically. So I have no doubt that Huznadinov will continue to improve. We do need to keep in mind that he is, what is he age-wise? 22. And all these guys in this 22, 23, 24, you just continue to see that steady progression, that steady rate of improvement. That's all you can ask for. And as Ian says, this is a great point. Like, these guys, like, you guys literally tweeted, you guys posted almost the same thing at the exact same time. Rossi showing a steady progression in his faceoff work. Rossi is showing a steady progression in all parts of his game. Scored again tonight. Where does that leave him from a points perspective? I think still third on the team. Rossi had the goal tonight. He played 15 minutes, 7 of 11 in the faceoff circle. He's up to 11 goals, 25 points on the season, and he's still just under a 70-point pace. Just under 70. And just continues to have a really, really good season. Does X slot down to the second when he comes back with Rossi playing like this? I would think to start. I think I think that's what the Wild would like to do, because then you've got a really good center with a really good wing on the first two lines. So you've got Kaprizov with Rossi. You got Boldy with Eriksson Ek. Matt Zuccarello has played very well this season, very productive. And if he can rekindle with Kaprizov, then okay, that's your top line. And then we get to the point that you just got to figure out that second wing. Once that gets figured out, chef's kiss. What's the quote you used to always say for Rossi? It is seared in my brain, Ian. Every day I come in and just try to work hard and do my best. That is the easiest positive message to root for that I think I have ever heard. Every day I just come in and try to do my best. It's easy to root for. I think that's why I'm just so enjoying what he's doing. Just continue to enjoy what he's doing out there. Yeah, good. Thank you for bringing this up, Anita. Don't forget about the Discord channel. Pretty good time chatting during games and other discussions. The more the merrier. Why don't I do this? Let me see if I can... Let me see if I can do this. I'm just going to edit this so that it doesn't expire. All right, I'm going to put this in the chat here. If anybody wants to join our Discord server, just click that link in the in the comments, and then you can be part of our day-to-day conversation. Rossi's done enough to secure the 1 seed this season. Couple that with Eck having a bit of a down year, no brainer. Yeah, I think Rossi is. I think Rossi's definitely played his way into that role. Faber out there, 2+ minute shifts. The nickname Darth Faber is way cool. Hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that. Oh, we got a few that hopped right in. If Boldy can score a goal for every penalty per game, that would be okay too. That would be great. If he could just even it out, then hey, if you take 60, 70 penalties a season, and you score 60, 70 goals, that's fine. That'll work. So, Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win. We do have a bit of housekeeping to get to. I'm going to sneak in a quick break, but we will continue the conversation. We're just getting started as Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. More Locked On Wild postcast coming up after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. Just download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Today's Locked On Wild postcast also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. And the Wild now 26-4 on the season. Let's change the time for tomorrow's show till after the game. The Wild... Oh, you want to go Monday night after the Vikings game? 5 rip Oilers over Vegas? Oh, yikes. Ooh. How did that happen? Zach Hyman, Connor Brown, Leon Draisaitl, and Corey Perry. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, Denny. That just, depending on what time that game gets done, that's going to be 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. But if you want to do the show at that point, that's fine with me. Knights have to catch a bus, get the shuttle flight to MSP, and play early tomorrow. That's a good thing for us. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Vegas is off to a really good start this year, and they're getting waxed in this game so far today. Okay, I want to do something right now. The Minnesota Wild right now are at 26-4. So they got 44 points right now with 30 games played. Last year, here are the point totals that got into the postseason. Yeah, that sounds good to me, Denny. Here are the point totals that got into the playoffs from the Western Conference last year. You had Dallas with 113. I should go wild card standings for this. So you had Dallas with 113, Winnipeg with 110, Vancouver with 109, Colorado with 107, Edmonton with 104, and the Los Angeles Kings with 99. So 100 points and in, pretty much. Let's just say, for argument's sake, well, this isn't a bad idea. I'll make my point. We'll circle back to this, Dougie. That's a good call. Do show after tomorrow's game, combine a postcast with. Denny and I will talk about it, and I was probably going to do a show during the day tomorrow anyway. So we'll let you know when Denny's show is going on. But the point, 2 points that I wanted to make. The Wild at 44 points through 30 games are already halfway to where they were at last year in 30 games. So that should tell you about how good of a start the Minnesota Wild have been on this season. And if the Wild need to get over 100 points to make the postseason this year, they need 60 points in the final 50 games. To get you to 104 points, you need 60 to get to 104. Let's just say 66 to get to 110. 66 in the final 50 games of the year. That seems pretty doable. And that affords you can afford to play a 500 stretch in that time. Built equity early on in the season. All these points that the Wild have banked, they've allowed themselves the opportunity to navigate through these injuries. But as we learned today, 2 of those guys are back, and they looked pretty good. So now you're just down to 2 players out of the lineup. They are key pieces, yes, but now you are just trying to manage 2 different pieces. And now we can, as Jared points out, and as Denny piggybacks off of that I'll talk about here, now you're at the point where Declan Chisholm is stepping into more of Jake Middleton's role, because one defenseman out of the lineup is far easier to spread than 2. And for the pairings today, let me do this. Wild D pairings today. So Brodin and Faber played 18 minutes together. They had 16 shot attempts for, 7 shot attempts against in 18 minutes on the ice. 3 shots on goal in 18 minutes on the ice. Declan Chisholm and Jared Spurgeon played 15 minutes together, had 1 goal for. Now they did give up 7 shots on goal. Or actual shots on goal was just 2, but a ton of attempts. Interesting. So those two pairings are doing pretty darn good. Merrill and Bogosian were on the ice for the only goal allowed in the 11 minutes that they played together. But we're back to Brodin and Faber, which was one of the best D pairings in the league when they were together. And Chisholm and Spurgeon has been really good too. That's workable. That's doable. Yes, thank you for mentioning. I was more so going key players, but Lauko and Trenin out is not nothing. Like, those are key. Trenin especially is stingy on defense. So that's that's a tricky one to navigate. But thankfully, that is at least a bottom six role as opposed to a top six player. I have no idea, Trav, what happened. Trenyan. I have no idea what happened. It was just announced before the game that he was not going to play. I don't know if they said upper or lower. I will let me just sift through the tea leaves. Trenyan day-to-day, possible for tomorrow. Lauko is doubtful. Hines isn't sure how he got hurt or if it's an aggravation of his last injury. The NHL is so mysterious, it makes me sick with their injury designations and vagueness about all aspects of injuries. So who knows? Who knows what Trenyan's dealing with? Who knows? Chisholm's playing his way to a decent contract, at least for some team. I would be very happy with a bridge deal for him. I think he's good. I think he would be a great. I think he would be a great piece, like to do exactly what he's doing now. Mostly a third pairing guy, but still able to step up and down the lineup wherever you need him. Because he's been. Look at his numbers again today. He played, I think he played 18, just under 19 minutes tonight. He had an assist, was a +1, 3 shots on goal, 4 blocks, had the 2 key blocks near the end of the game. Also had 2 hits and 2 takeaways in 19 minutes on the ice. That's pretty good. Howling at Zuccarello's post-game quote, "I've been in front of the net twice. Once I got hit in the head and was at the hospital for a long time, and now I got it in the nuts." So that's that's why I stay on the perimeter and outside the crease and let the other guys do the dirty job. Hey, all it takes is one of those types of injuries to make you rethink where you slot in. But I did talk about this too over the course of the few weeks that Zuccarello missed. I think we saw that Matt Zuccarello does a lot for the spacing of the offense by being able to, help spread the floor a little bit. I think that's why you see him and Kaprizov try to operate like magnets out there that are, opposites where they just don't come together, just to try to space things. And he's been playing pretty darn good this season, and so that's a welcome addition back for this team. Yeah, I think this is part of it. Do they keep the injuries vague to keep other players from targeting those players? I think that's part of it. And I think the sports betting is certainly the other piece of the puzzle, as well. You don't want, because so many people bet on the games, you don't want to, you want to try to keep things pretty nondescript because there's always money on the line. And if Kirill Kaprizov were to be out, of the lineup, yes, I knocked on wood, don't worry. People would stay away from betting on the Minnesota Wild because that they're not going to be. So if he were to have anything, then you just say, well, he's day to day. You keep it vague, keep it shrouded in mystery. Schadenfreude. Let's go back to my standings discussion, because if the Minnesota Wild get to 110 points, the good call by Denny here. Last time the Wild had this record 30 games in was 2011. We all know how that season ended up. So hopefully this one can keep going. I do like that. I do like the workman-like approach by the Minnesota Wild. We can count on, I think, one hand the number of games where you've been like, yeah, they just didn't have it tonight. Through 30 games. That's That's way better than it was last year. Britt joining us, showed up late to the show, but good payback to Philly after them handing the Wild their first regulation loss of the season. Is it just me, or does the 78s look faster on the ice? Could be something to that. They look more sleek. I knocked on my desk. Don't worry. I just don't want to knock too loud so my neighbors don't think somebody's trying to get into their apartment. So if the Wild get to 110, here's what the rest of the division has to do to get to 110. The Winnipeg Jets would need 67 points. The Dallas Stars would need 76. Vegas Golden Knights would need 69. Los Angeles Kings would need... Why am I doing math? Los Angeles Kings would need 71. The Colorado Avalanche, to get to 110 points, would need 76 points in the final 49 games 51 games of the season. Oh my God. I should not do math. I should just stop. And other than that, like, $66 points in 52 games. That's a pretty good amount of wiggle room to get to 110. And that would be playing basically 500 hockey the rest of the season. I think the Wild are going to do a little better than that down the stretch, especially if they make a move at the deadline. I don't know. Get players back healthy, and I like where this team is at. The Wild have also allowed the second fewest goals in the Western Conference with 77. Dallas has allowed 73, but they've only played 28 games. So they have played 2 fewer games than the Wild. So I'm going to say the Wild have allowed the second fewest. Good point by Sean here. Leading scorer for that 2011-2012 Wild team was Danny Heatley with 53 points. I think we have better finishers than that team had back then. Most definitely do the Wild. Kirill and Boldy for starters. Also Rossi. Kaprizov is at 43 points right now. No, he was at 43 points before today's game. So he has what? Did he have 3 today? 2 points, 2 goals. So he's got 40. So he had 2 goals today. He now has 45 points on the season. So he's 8 behind the leader for the entirety of the 2011-2012 season. I think he'll do all right. Yeah, I don't know why I'm just beyond incapable of doing basic math, but I think that's why I'm in radio. I was told there would be no math. Can you use your connections to convince someone to let me just pay like $300 to get the rights to watch every Minnesota Wild game? Tired of blacklisting when the Wild are away. We got to get the TV thing figured out. I fully agree. I don't mind, but here, let's talk about this too. It feels like ESPN does not really care that they have the NHL. Anybody else notice that? Anybody else feel that? It feels like they don't, like they're just oh, cool, we've got the NHL. Well, we're not really going to do anything about it. Make it so that the people can watch the games. Please. I'm begging. Who was the coach of the Wild in 2011? It was John Torchetti or Todd Richards or not Mike Yeo, was it? Started watching the Wild because teams close to me are blacked out. End blackouts. End blackouts. Please. Oilers on top 5-2. Who scored for VGK? Let me guess. Mark Stone, Victor Olofsson, and Noah Hannafin. Okay. But still, 5 goals surrendered by Aiden Hill. Yuck. Well, it'll definitely be Ilya Samsonov. It'll definitely be Ilya Samsonov tomorrow. I'd be shocked if Vegas is like, oh, let's trot Aiden Hill out there again. And what has Samsonov done recently? Oh. Not great. Not great, Bob. Not great. Samsonov this season, he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different games in which he has given up over 4 or more goals. He has given up 6 goals twice. He's given up 4 goals to Washington and Florida. And Philly gave up 4 goals to this Philadelphia Flyers team. Yikes. Icky, yucky, no good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Here's a funny from Marcus Foligno from Michael Russo just now. Foligno with some LOL stuff tonight on Kaprizov having to play the last month without Zuccarello. I'm not going to lie, he wasn't the happiest. Then he heard Zucchi was skating, and he was like a creaky little kid on Christmas morning. Welcome back, Matt Zuccarello. Thank God. Thank God. He's back. Well, I think, unless anybody has any quick wrap-up questions here, I think that's going to do it for today's Locked On Wild postcast. Oh, did the Jets play tonight? Yes, they do. 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Going to grab a 12-pack sampler for the Denver Pioneers game. Any suggestions? Ooh, it's a good call. Because of the recent news that the Mankato Brewery is going to be closing, which is just, that's devastating. I went and got a 12-pack of the Organ Grinder Amber Ale. So that's what I'm going to be putting back tonight while I cook a pork loin for dinner. Now that the work is done for the day, the play can commence. I would say anything Mankato wise, if you've got Mankato Brewery beer, I would say that's the route to go, because support the Mankato Brewery until they close up shop in January. That'd be my recommendation. Can you say what your new job is? Yeah, I'm the news director and high school sports at KTOE in Mankato. Early mornings, but I love every bit of it. Was just at Mankato Brewery last Saturday. That's what I like to hear. I'll cheers to that. What time is Locked On Wild going live tomorrow? Since the Vikings don't play tomorrow, I'll get it out about 10 or 11 because Denny and I'll iron out what time the show is going to be. So I'll make sure to let everybody know. And there will be a postcast after tomorrow's game too. So no worries there, but we'll try to have that out by 10 or 11. If for some reason I'm not able to get it out by then, I'll just put a community note out there, so that you know when. But that's what I'm shooting for tomorrow. So yeah, 4-1 win for the Minnesota Wild here today. They are now 26-4 on the season. Yeah, let's hope those Preds beat those Avs here tonight. But that's going to wrap it. Ooh, if you get out to Waseca, try out Wardhouse Brewery. That's challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. And I'll let you know, Dougie, when I get out to that neck of the woods. Now that I'm here, it shouldn't be too difficult to swing out that direction as well. But that's going to wrap it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to our postcast here today. Make sure to hit that like button. Smash that like button before you head out. Yeah, Trav, I am officially now in Mankato. If you ever get to Owatonna, let's grab a beer at St. Mineral Springs Brewery. Challenge accepted. I will let you know if I'm out that way, and we'll make it happen. Thanks, everybody. Wilds get the win 4-1. We'll be back at it tomorrow for you. So make sure to hit that like button so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week, including post-game content when it's not too late of a game. But Wilds get the win. We'll catch you tomorrow right here on Locked On Wild.